This video is going to be about the baby to toddler transition, which is something that I'm going through at the moment, and it's very real to me right now, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If this is the first video of mine you're watching, I have a 13-month-old son named James, and he is my little pudding. He's such a gem, but he's also a handful, especially now that he started walking. So today I'm going to be talking to you about 10 things that change when your baby becomes a toddler. This usually happens around about when your baby is 1, but it could vary so much because every child is so different and develops at different ages. This has been quite an emotional period for me, and I didn't think I was going to take it that way. I thought it was going to be a very slow and gentle transition. James has always been an active baby, but to go from being an active baby to an active toddler is a completely different thing. And I found it quite difficult getting my head around the fact that I don't have a baby anymore, that my baby is now a little boy. Anyway, enough about that emotional aspect of it all. The first thing that changes from baby to toddler is mobility. Suddenly, your little baby that you could put in the middle of the bed to get dressed, to have a shower, to do your makeup, will no longer stay still anywhere. You can't get ready anymore without running after your child. The amount of times that I've had to run after James with one leg in my trousers and the other leg out, I just can't count anymore. I can't go to the toilet anymore without him beating me to it and getting there before me. So I kind of avoid going to the toilet all day long until I really have to. And that's a huge problem because ever since pregnancy and giving birth, my bladder has never been the same. I spoke about it on my postpartum video, which I'll leave linked if you want to watch it. So when I hold it in these days, a lot can go wrong, and I always have these moments where I just go, oops, I know exactly what's happening. So it's very useful to have a thin underwear liner like Lights by Tenner when you know you're going to have a busy day and going to the toilet is not going to be your priority. It just makes you feel more secure in knowing that if you have a little accident on your way to the toilet, or if your bladder is really full and you sneeze, you know that you're kind of sorted. So these Lights by Tenner have been absolute lifesavers for days when I don't have childcare, there's no one at home that can help look after James whilst I go to the toilet. And let's face it, these little accidents happen more often than we think. In fact, I think research shows that they happen to 1 in 3 women, which is very common, and I don't think it's anything that we should be ashamed of, especially after having a child and giving birth. We know that things down there, they kind of get messed up a bit. So it's something that I think we should talk about more often to make it more normal, because I felt a little bit embarrassed the first few times that I had little accidents after having James, but then I spoke to other mums and they say that it happens to them as well, which made me feel a little bit better about myself. So if you feel like sharing some of your little oops moments, Lights by Tenner are running a Facebook competition where you can win £100 worth of Debenhams vouchers and also a spa break for 2. All you have to do is leave a comment on the Lights by Tenner Facebook post sharing one of your oops moments. It could be anything. It could be like a clothes malfunction, it could be some time that you tripped out on the streets, or it could also be light bladder weakness, which is something that I've shared here with you. The link to the competition is in the description box below, and there's also a link below where you can order a free sample pack of Lights by Tenner, which I think is a real helping hand. So that's kind of the downside of toddlers' newfound mobility. I think the upside is that they are also a lot more independent, which means that they don't have to be attached to you 24/7, and carrying them around can be a real pain in the back. That's something that definitely gets easier and better as they become toddlers. The second biggest change is language, and this is something that I've noticed recently, how much James's language skills have developed since he became a toddler. He's been babbling for quite a while, but recently the babbling has made more sense and we can actually have some conversations, which is just amazing and so nice to be able to understand what he's saying to me and to see that he understands what I'm saying to him. I can put a lot of his babbling into context now and I'm able to help him more, which is great. And it's just such a nice phase in terms of language when they go from being a baby to toddler, because you're now having a conversation with your little person, which is, to me, incredible. The third big change is feeding. And now that your little baby is a toddler, they get a lot more independent and hands-on with their food. Some toddlers at this stage are able to feed themselves. James still can't do it, but he is a lot more independent with his food and he likes to get really hands-on now. Things get a lot more fun, but they also get a lot lot messier when they're able to like interact with their food a lot more. There's just so much more that they can eat, and most children this age are able to eat the family meals and share what the parents are having, which I think is great because it saves you having to make baby food specifically for your baby and then make the food for the family. In our case, that hasn't happened yet. James still likes to eat his baby food. He much prefers purees than actual food that we're having. He does like to have finger foods, but in terms of his main meal, he still prefers a very runny and thin puree. But we're working on that. Hopefully he will outgrow that soon. I'm not in a rush. I think he will tell me when he's ready and he's getting the nutrition that he needs. But that's something that definitely changes from baby to toddler, is that meal times become a lot more hands-on and they're a lot more independent and having a lot more fun with their food, I think. The next big change is to do with milk. For the first 6 months of your baby's life, that was the most important thing for them. It's what made them grow. Whether you breastfed or formula fed, milk was like the holy grail of the house. But from 6 months to 12 months, things start to change slowly when you start to wean your baby onto solid foods, and then milk become less important. And then from 12 months onward, you can start to give them cow's milk instead of breast milk or formula if you want to. And for us, that was great because cow's milk is just more convenient. We can pop it in a sippy cup or a bottle for him and warm it up in a few minutes and it's ready for him to drink. I don't have to worry about how many scoops of formula I'm going to be putting in a bottle, if I've boiled the kettle, if it's cool enough and all of that faff. It's just a great stage. I've personally really enjoyed the transition from formula to cow's milk. I've done a video on it as well, which I'll leave linked below in case you want to watch it. And it also means the end of sterilizing bottles, which can be such a small thing in your whole day, but to me it gave me back those 15 to 20 minutes at night that I spent sterilizing all of the bottles. I also get a little bit more space in my kitchen because I get to put the humongous sterilizer away. The next topic is sleep. Usually and very generally, toddlers tend to sleep more than babies for several different reasons. Sometimes because they are more active, so they get more tired, which means they sleep longer. Other times they just outgrow that whole baby routine of waking up for a feed. But as I said, that's a very generic statement and it definitely is not our reality at the moment, which I'd like it to be. But I suppose when it gets to this stage, most toddlers are sleeping a little bit better, and I hope that that will happen for us soon, or to other parents that I know who are still not getting enough sleep. But another thing is to do with naps. It can get to this stage now where your baby is no longer a baby. They're a lot more aware of what they're doing in the day and the fun they're having, and they simply do not want to have 2 long naps a day. It's very common for children this age to drop one nap, especially the morning nap. I think is the most common to drop first. With us, we're still on 2 naps a day, but very barely. James is slowly fading out that morning nap. I don't think it's something that's going to happen overnight, but over the last week or so, his nap routine for the morning has been completely all over the place. That's something that's a huge transition. I'm still a bit confused as to the naps and whether or not I should go with him and see what he wants to do, or if I should persevere and try to get him to nap twice a day still. Hang on to that second nap, which I know is very precious to us mums and dads, because it's time that we get to ourselves to breathe and have a cup of tea and relax. So yeah, sleeping is a big change, I think, when it comes to toddlers, because it's nap time that changes and it also bedtime changes as well. Now James wants to go to bed a little bit later. I think he also has more energy. He's bigger. He just wants to do more things. So he's going to bed at around about 7:30 on a good day, but we've had a few crazy days where he's gone to bed at 9-10 o'clock. The next big change is safety. That's something that becomes such a big problem when your baby becomes a toddler, because they can walk or they're almost walking. They're everywhere. They just want to explore as much as possible. At least my son does, and he is just literally everywhere. He wants to be inside cupboards, he wants to be on top of sofas or on top of tables, and it's literally, my mind feels like it's going to explode because he goes from one thing to the next. And as much as I think that our house is baby proof, now he's starting to show me that it really isn't, and there are a lot more things that I need to do to make my house safer for him. He's also falling a lot more, and I know that this is normal. This is natural part of development because he can walk now, but he's not sturdy yet. He trips and he falls a lot more, and he ends up hurting himself. Not badly, but he does, you know, get a bruise every so often. It's something that really changes. I definitely need to work on my reaction to when James falls and doesn't hurt himself. It's a work in progress, so I know I'll get better at it. Just give me a little bit more time. The next big difference is coordination. Now that James is a little bit older, I can tell that his coordination has improved massively. He's able to pick up small objects just with his finger and his thumb. I think it's called a pincer grasp or something like that. And he does that so well. Before, he was only able to like destroy things. That's all he wanted to do, was to bash things and destroy. But now he's in a lot more of a mood to create things as well. So he wants to build towers, and he wants to put balls into cups and to baskets and see how it all fills up. And you can tell that his coordination is a lot better because he knows exactly what will fit in places. And that's something I want to work really hard with him over the next few weeks, is develop his sense of coordination. He's got a great hand to eye coordination. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, that's something that's really changed recently. Next big change is awareness, and you can really tell a difference between a baby's awareness and a toddler's awareness of the world around them. They respond to things that happen around them. If they see someone they know, you can see on their faces that they recognize them. If the doorbell rings, they will instinctively go towards that way. And it's so interesting to watch them interact with the world around them. James really responds to music, and I can tell when he recognizes a song that he enjoys. His face lights up. He can say some of the words in the music that he enjoys. He loves nursery rhymes, and Baby TV has some great nursery rhymes which he absolutely loves. So this is definitely a big change, but it's one that I'm really enjoying. Next big change is demands, and a toddler is way more demanding than a baby. Demanding in the sense that they know what they want and they will tell you what they want to do, which can be a little bit stressful sometimes because with demands come tantrums. And this is a world that I've been introduced to recently, the world of tears and tantrums and paddies, and it's not fun. James is starting to get the point that he can do something that he wants to do even though I don't want him to do that. He will most of the times go with what we want to do or be happy doing whatever, but sometimes when he really wants something and he can't have it, let's just say that we've had a few moments where I wished I wasn't out in public with him crying, because he will literally sob and cry his eyes out for things. He's becoming a lot more demanding and voicing what he wants to do, which I like because I like knowing when he's happy and when he's not happy. But it doesn't make it any less challenging. In fact, for me, this has been the most challenging part of him becoming a toddler, is dealing with these moments, because you never know when you're spoiling them, when you're just remedying a situation at a point where you literally can't cope, when you should be teaching them a lesson, when, you know, it's just really hard to know at what point you do the right thing, you know, in teaching them a lesson or giving them what they want for that moment. It's just a whole minefield to me at the moment. And the last big change is separation anxiety. And this is something that you might not know exists, but separation anxiety is basically when your child becomes really aware that they do not like it when you leave their sight or when they're not with you. I think it's most common with the mum, but it can also happen with the dad if the dad is really hands-on and attached to the child. James has been so attached to me, and he's really going through a bad case of separation anxiety, which has had a bad impact on his sleep as well. But that's something that goes away, so I'm not too worried about it. I know he will outgrow it. I know it's just a development thing, but it really is hard. Sometimes if he's happy enough playing, he won't mind if I leave the room, but other times if I just walk away for a few seconds and he can't see me, oh my god, it's World War III at home, and he won't have any of it. Unless I come back, he won't stop crying. So that's something that at the moment I'm just riding the wave. I'm just waiting to see what's going to happen. I'm comforting him and reassuring him that I'm there, because I know that he doesn't know what's happening. It's just something developmental and that he's going through now, but I'm sure it will get better. But it's definitely definitely different from when he was a baby. I was able to leave him playing with his grandma or with his aunties and he would be fine. But now it's a lot harder to get him to stay with other people without us, especially without me. But I'm not going to force him to adapt too quickly. If it does drag for like months and months and months, then I'm going to do something about it and try to get him to get used to other people. But I know that he's going through this separation anxiety thing now, and I know it's perfectly normal. And it's just one of those things that toddlers have to go through. So these are the things that I've been going through, or looking forward to going through, or not looking forward to going through in the transition from babyhood to toddlerhood. It's a whole new world, and I feel like a completely different parent now than I was when James was a baby. And I can't wait to see what kind of little boy James becomes. He's very caring, he's very sweet. He likes to explore and he's a little bit mischievous, but he's always so happy, which is something that I can never complain. He's such a happy child. He's always smiling and playing. Unless he's hungry or really tired, he doesn't really complain much, and that is great. And I love him. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below if you're going through the same stage, or if you've gone through already the baby to toddler transition and how you coped with it. I'm sure I could do with a lot of tips on how to cope with the things that I'm not coping too well with. And if you like my videos, you can subscribe to my channel, which means that you'll get notified whenever I upload a new video. There's a little button down there that says subscribe. It's simple, it's easy, it's free. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.